1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4. Almost a weekend and you don't know what to do. Or you just need something fun to listen to.
Southside Pod!
Yes, we're on the air. And the gang's all here, all things on the South Side. We're listening to the Southside Pod. Looking for the best Southside breweries. Or you might just need an awesome place to eat.
Southside Pod!
Mount Greenwood, Evergreen, Blue Island, Beverly, Payless, and Allsup too. You're tuned into the Southside Pod.
Southside Pod!
Oakland, Midlothian,
Southside Pod!
Oak Forest, Chicago Ridge, Flossmoor, and Bridgeview. You're listening to Southside Pod!
Should be a fun episode today because we have the possibility of being interrupted by children.
This will be fun.
The house is filled with everybody's children because I was like, it's summer, come over, we're going to sit down, we're going to record, we're going to drink some beers.
Right.
But before that, bring your families and your children. And the pool is open.
Chris grilled burgers.
I did. I grilled burgers.
Hot dogs.
Yeah.
And your wife made pasta salad.
She did.
Then the kids wham and we drank.
Yeah.
Yep.
And I learned
Got splashed.
I learned that Bill was a nervous father. Did you see that?
Come on, you
just
learned that
learned
long
that now?
ago.
I mean, he's a nervous.
I mean, you
dad.
saw it in person, is what.
Man, it really is.
I prefer the word attentive.
There were
It's like a,
there were four
You're on the
teenagers.
spectrum there.
4 teenagers in the pool, 3 of which have had
I've seen
CPR
videos
training.
of kids drown,
And you're like-
around 10 lifeguards.
And you're nervous around your kids being in a 4-foot pool.
One of them you pay to watch your children, too, Bill.
This episode, by the way, brought to you by Family Waterproofing Solutions. You heard their ad at the beginning of the show. Bowing walls, window wells, foundation crack repairs, sump pumps, anything that has to do with keeping water away from your foundation, keeping the basement dry. That's what they do. Express service as well. Know what you want. See the cost right on the website. Nobody else does that. Order and schedule on-site immediately for quick service. Your basement's best defense. And express service is at familydry.com. But yeah, I mean, you got people who are CPR trained in the pool, including my daughter, who's like your main babysitter, and you trust.
I mean, you weren't paying her today, so she
didn't pay her.
Guess whose kids aren't going to drown ever?
Well, not yours, because you're standing right above them.
I'll take that.
And yeah, and you're going to have to jump in pants because you don't wear shorts.
No, grown men shouldn't wear pants.
Grown
gonna
men
get it all
should wear-
out.
Hold on. You said it wrong.
You said it wrong.
I just
You
Fix
said it
it.
wrong. You said grown men should wear pants, is what
okay,
you said.
I said it wrong. Fine.
Fix it.
Grown men should what?
Shouldn't wear shorts.
Why not?
Because they're for little boys.
You don't wear shorts.
Not in public.
The Southside uniform is cargo shorts by March, and you wear them until November. And you're telling me that
Sometimes
grown men
into
don't wear
December.
shorts? There are grown men all over the South Side who can't wait to put on shorts. There's a dude in my neighborhood who wears cargo shorts to Christmas Mass. I'm not joking.
It's a personal opinion. That's all. It's
I
a
mean,
it's a
people
fashion
wear 'em.
choice. I understand that people wear them, but I don't think grown men should wear shorts.
What
Why?
do you
I
wear
think
when
they're
you
made-
go swimming, Bill?
What do you envision when a man wears
Swimming
shorts?
is different.
What do you envision when a man wears
You remember
shorts?
those little Tom and Jerry cartoons where like they give like a kid they give like a grown man like a giant oversized lollipop and he turns into like this little kid skipping in shorts.
That's what you see.
With the hat
Yes.
and like
Yeah,
the
right.
flappy
So
underwear thing?
Mike and I look like that to you right now.
a little bit. Yeah.
You are wearing a hat, so.
Yeah, it's a White Sox hat. You see one of those, you see a lollipop in my hand and not a beer?
Well, to Mike, I see a little boy. To you, I see like a big chicken. like I want to eat. Right, like the wolf see. You know, the wolf see it. It's smoking.
A pitcher of beer, a pitcher of beer. Let's order another pitcher of beer. That pitcher of beer should come over here. I love that pitcher of beer.
We are hanging out in what I think is a traditional brewery. In my opinion, this is how I always pictured breweries when I would go hunting for them in my youth. It's just kind of like in the middle of nowhere. It sits like in like an industrial strip. You pull up and you're like, am I at a warehouse or am I at a brewery? You walk in and it's just cool looking, man. It's One Trick Pony. Mark Kokel runs this, and I just want to say, man, I every time I walk in here, I feel like I found a hidden gem on the South Side.
It's like walking into your neighbor's cool garage.
Yeah.
Yeah, just, hey, dude, what's going on? Just working on the car. You crack open the cooler. There's a beer in there. Really? All right, what else am I going to do today? Let's hang out.
Yeah, it's like a hangout spot. It definitely is. You walk in, like everything from the fact that the chairs are different at the table. Not like there's a certain chair for one table and a certain chair for another one. No, it's mixed chairs. It's old beer bottles and growlers and collector's items all hanging around the bar. It's lights strung across the ceiling. It's the big giant horse that's your symbol sitting there, and the TV so I can watch a game if I want to, and the bar that you can sidle up to where you can grab yourself a stool. This, I would imagine, was how you always thought your brewery should look, because you've kind of kept this now for a while.
Okay, so to be honest with you, we moved here in 2014. We opened up about a half block south where we are right now. And when we opened up, I gotta say, I never ever thought about what a place would look like. And as it turns out, other folks had ideas, and it turned out that we opened up as a hole in the wall back in 2012. But we opened up literally as a hole in the wall, came down here in 2014, and we had folks that were offering time and effort, and we salvaged some bricks and created a bar out of them, and created most of the furniture ourselves. And the chairs that you're talking about, they come from here, they come from there, and
You're like my grandmother's bar that she used to have in her basement, like 2 stools that she got from behind a bar because they were throwing them out and she found them in the alley. I mean, but it works.
What's better than leather or what's better than vinyl is black duct tape. It really works good.
So now here's the thing. I think guys and girls that like to go out and discover beers, and there isn't the glitz, the glamour, and like the positioning, like where you're sitting around and you're trying to go for a certain motif. Obviously, you're surviving because the beer is good. And that's kind of how I feel when I walk in here. It's how I felt when I walked in there the first time. It's the beer, right?
Absolutely. I have been, I got to tell you, I get criticized by my own staff about why don't you go on social media and just, pump the business. And there's just certain things that the way I grew up, walk softly, carry a big stick. You don't have to promote yourself that much. But in this business, you do. I understand that. And so we're constantly evolving. I understand that. But we're very understated, and it's by design because it's more my style. I am not a flashy guy at all. Not a flashy guy. Some folks may say that I'm a bit fiery. Okay, fiery, but flashy? No. The places I always liked when I was growing up, once I turned 21, of course, were places that were comfortable to walk into, and as long as you had to squint your eyes when you left the place, it was probably a fun time.
Yeah, and this is that kind of spot. I mean, you even found a way to put together a little beer garden out here, and it's like my grandmother's lawn furniture's out here with a little fire pit. But in the summertime, I've been here, and you wouldn't expect it, but this place can start hopping. People know that it exists. It's kind of like one of those hidden treasures out here in Lansing. So what are the big beers? If somebody hasn't been here before and they're saying, okay, I got to find One Trick Pony then, and I got to check this out, what are you guys best known for? What are you most proud of that you guys have on tap?
A quick story about how we were named. I was homebrewing with someone that loved hoppy beers, only liked IPAs. And when he tasted a couple of beers that I did, and he said one day, hey, can I come over and help you brew? And I told him, F you, I'm not going to be a one-trick pony brewing you IPAs all the time. Which I may have told you this story last time you were here. If you haven't heard it,
it's okay. I'm going to listen to it again.
And so I said, again, F you politely, but I'm not going to be a one-trick pony. And about a year and a half later of just stepping up homebrews, and those homebrews, for the most part, they've evolved into our everyday beers that are always on tap right now. So it was a pithy throwaway line. That's how the brewery was named, and we still have on tap all the time Stormcat, which is an amber IPA, very very heavy in mosaic hops, a little bit of sweetness from the caramel malts, a bit of. It kind of reminds me of some kind of orange peel in the flavor in the back. Warlander is another big seller. That's probably the second biggest or second largest seller that we have. And Warlander is the hop bomb that the malty hop bomb that I always enjoyed before realizing that I like big, bold beers. But we're not just one trick pony about only brewing IPAs, because that was, again, the reason for
The polite you.
Yeah, the polite off. Pretty proud of our Belgian beers. And Belgian beers, we have Parmesan on tap, which is a Belgian triple. It's a combination of 3 different Belgian yeasts.
Let's talk about this one right here. Let's talk about this. This is your Warlander. This is, you told me this was a triple IPA. So I'm a big IPA drinker from back when the IPA craze was really getting going, right around the early 2000s, late 90s out in California. I was doing radio. So like my love of IPAs really is rooted in those West Coast ones. And when you said triple hop, I was like, all right, this could be really brutal, or it could be something that's right up my alley. It's right up my alley because like you triple hop this and it doesn't feel like I'm going to die. It's not like overly bitter. Then again, I really like bitter beers, but I mean, like, it's not something where I'm drinking it and I'm thinking to myself, like, they didn't add the taste in. They just went crazy on the hops and there's no taste. This has a lot of taste to it. This is a really good beer.
Thank you. So the way this beer came about was probably around 2010. I stopped after work back in those days, had a day job. Still do, but back in those days, stopped at a bar right outside the day job. A beer called Hop Slam was on tap, and it had just gone on tap that night. And I knew that I had to catch a train at 7:45. I got to Casey's. 7:15, had one of those, and very quickly I got my second. And the next thing I know, I'm figuring 8:45. I'm going to catch the 8:45 train, and.
You're reasoning with yourself.
I had one more, and then struck up a conversation, and next thing I know, 9:45. What is this beer? I had never had it before, and as it turns out, it's a beer that is brewed out of state, but it's got an enormous following. At the time, I didn't know it, but I knew that I liked what it brought to the table in terms of a lot of hops, but a lot of malt. And that malt really supports the hops. A lot of mouthfeel, a little bit of warmth as it's going down. A very approachable double IPA. But I knew that I didn't want to do the same beer, and so I figured out, how else can we possibly do this beer, or how else can I brew it at home? And so the magic that we use, brown sugar. I think if we didn't use the brown sugar, you'd almost have a beer that's too hop heavy.
Great taste to it, and you're able to support those hops, and it's awesome. And what you just mentioned there about going into a place, trying something, going, oh wow, that's neat, striking up a conversation. I think a lot of people, that's a lost art.
Missing 2 trains,
right?
But
that's what you get when you walk into One Trick Pony. That's my synopsis of this place. Yes. You see it, you stop in, yes. You go, I'm going to come into One Trick Pony. I'm going to come in here. I'm going to sit down. I'm going to check out the ambiance of this place, and I'm going to be like, oh look, this is cool. This is cool. This is cool. I'm going to try this beer. I'm going to get into a conversation with a stranger, and instead of being here for an hour, I'm going to be here for 4 hours. I think that's the best way to describe your brewery.
I have heard more than once that, yes, honey, I'm on my way. Heard it today.
Another good interview on the Southside Pod. How come Mike and me are never invited to these things? I want to go.
Me too.
You never invite us. Maybe next time.
Maybe you can, Bill. You're the smart one. See, Bill and I have our money with Tom Walsh. He's your Edward Jones financial advisor right on the corner of 111th and Kedzie. He's been around for over 2 decades. He has been navigating this crazy last couple of years. And guess what? I'm better off now than I was when it all started. Why? Because Tom is attentive. Every time I have a question about my money, he tells me about it. He's got a plan for my retirement. Whether you're at the beginning or the end of a very long road to retirement, bring your stuff over to Tom. Let him take a look at it. He's a knowledgeable guy. He's going to help you out. One of these days, maybe Mike will get that through his head. Call Tom Walsh, your Edward Jones financial advisor, now at 773-779-0023, or again, stop in right there on the corner of 111th and Kedzie. A little bit further south from Tom's place is going to be the brand new Bub Cafe, or Butter Upon Bacon. It's going to be in Blue Island on Old Western Avenue. I can't wait for it to open because the food is so good. I know that because they used to be inside of the Rock Island Public House. Now they're just going to be across the street. Why am I anticipating it? Well, me and the guys went and ate there, and as you can hear, it's good food with a kick. We have Jerry and Gina Doherty, who own Butter Upon Bacon, or Bub, that's here. And you guys do some really interesting menu items. How are you?
Good.
Nice. Hello.
Okay, so
I want to know the name. I mean, there's got to be a story.
how do you come up with that? Is it just because you were like, this is the most unhealthiest thing we can think of?
No. Actually, the name is actually, I'm going to let Gina explain it because I'm going to say it because she's probably too embarrassed. We live in a Victorian home from the 1850s.
Oh, look at these hoity-toits.
When we are not at work, Gina is generally dressed up in Victorian garb. The most exciting news.
Man, I wish we had video of this.
That's amazing.
The most exciting news we've had all year isn't like, oh, our friend is having a baby. It's the Renaissance Fair is happening again this year.
It only happens like 8 weekends, right?
I know. But so I'm going to let Gina explain the name because it kind of goes along with all of that.
Give it to me, Gina.
So we were kind of looking for something unique. We had the name of the business that I had started with cakes and things as a 15-year-old was dessert first, and we kind of morphed into a little bit more than that, and we were looking for something, and we were talking with Jerry's mom, and we were going to be the Pied Pipers, and she goes, well, you'll be PP then. And we're like, Mom, come on.
I love
you
this.
can't
Like
do
you're coming
that.
up with a name and your mother immediately. Yeah, exactly.
So, of course, what do I turn to? Victorian jargon of the 1850s and 60s. And something that I found was really cool, butter upon bacon means that little something extra, gilding the lily.
It's a good name for you guys because I'm going to tell
it really means that.
Yeah.
Take it over the top.
Gina, you're up in the front all night because I've been here a couple times and I've seen you up in the front. You're taking the orders.
Barely visible in the window.
Oh, it's great. Gina's
over
very
4
short.
feet.
And she has to peer over. I get the impression she stands on her tippy toes and talks to people through the kitchen window, which is amazing.
Well, she wanted a more comfy stool.
Yeah.
It took us hours in the store measuring every single one to buy the tallest stool that they had.
Look at this big guy here. He gives his wife a stool.
A comfy stool.
Hey, that's love. That's love, Chris.
Very comfy
And then
stool.
Jerry, you're in the back and you're cooking.
Yeah.
And I can tell she's Italian because she yells at you the entire time.
Yeah.
She shouts.
pretty much.
My great aunt Dina
Nice.
used to run a restaurant called Lanuti's in Land, Illinois, and when she yells to the back, I get flashbacks of when I was a little kid because that's
on the
what
back
it's
of your
like.
neck?
Yeah, you jump because he's cooking and you're like, what do we got back there? Like you just rip into it, which is great.
Well, and you can probably tell she's Italian with how much she's yelling. And then it takes a lot for me to actually respond because being Irish, I'm generally taking all the anger and feelings and just cramming them as low as I possibly can.
You know what's great, Bill, is he reminds me of my Irish father who sits around and says that he doesn't yell and he's shouting into the microphone.
I'm not yelling at you.
I feel at home. It's great.
This isn't yelling. I'm just speaking so you can hear me. Quote from this evening.
I'm not raising my voice.
Okay, but what I was going to tell you guys is your explanation of what butter upon bacon is, and the idea is that little extra.
Yeah.
When I look at your menu, it's not just a meatball.
Nope.
It's a meatball with something that's a little extra on top of it. It's not just a burger, but there's extra ingredients on top of it. You guys, I would say, make gourmet food because of the things that you're doing that are not standard. Tell me why you do that.
Well, so, just to go along with the name, looking through the menu, every single thing that we have is very approachable. Like the calamari, a lot of places, they'll have calamari. It's simple, it's straightforward, it's fried. We take that extra step by, we actually import containers of Calabrian chilies from Calabria, Italy, to make the oil that it's tossed in with.
Is that where the spice is coming from?
Yeah.
Because I'm going to tell you something. You have a bite on most of your foods. Let's talk a little bit about the foods that you have. The calamari, we're eating a couple different things here. We got calamari, we got fried pickles,
That's balsamic.
There's a meatball over
Yep.
here that's really good. What is that called again?
That is our Korean barbecue brat balls.
Okay, and the brat balls, I've had those before. Those are great. And then you have what is that, like a
You actually
poutine kind
had
of thing?
the last
You had the last
incarnation.
incarnation where it had a Swiss cheese sauce on it.
Yeah, there was
This
a sauce
one-
on it.
This one has Korean barbecue style sauce with greens and fried shallots.
And then you have this sandwich, which is called again.
Yeah, that's our braciole sandwich.
Okay, and
It's
that's
not the
basically
brachiole or the braccioli or the sandwich.
No, I knew what it was.
Braciole.
I walked up and called it braciole, and your wife goes, "Oh, you must be Italian." I know.
Oh yeah.
I thought he was swearing at me in Italian.
I'll have the braciole. What did you call me? Okay, so, but the thing is, to describe to anybody that's never had a braciole, it's very similar, and you might get mad at me for saying this, but this is how I described it to Mike because he didn't know what it was. I said it's a riccobetti steak sandwich, but it's made, it's better quality,
No, totally.
and it's got a kick to it, and your calamari's got a kick to it. You put a kick in a lot of your foods. You like the spice, don't you?
A lot of that is the Southern Italian.
Yeah, our family's from Campania and Calabria, so that's southern Italy. And we were talking about the braciole and how my father is not happy that I've made a braciole. You don't take braciole and you
don't turn it
bastardize
into a
it.
sandwich. That's not braciole.
Oh my.
I absolutely loved the sandwich.
Yeah.
So
Thank
this
you
was-
very
That
much.
sandwich is amazing.
And when you described it as like a riccobetti sandwich, Jared loves a riccobetti sandwich.
And it's like, so
This is better. And I mean, and I'm not
I
saying
hope
I'm not
so.
saying it. I'm not saying it because no. I'm not saying it because you're here. I'm saying it because you could tell that one, it's made with love, and it's like you actually like it. It's thinner. It doesn't have too much breading on it. The sauce isn't overpowering. It's not just a standard thing that's put
Thank you.
together.
Thank you very much.
This is a much better sandwich than that. I think if somebody tried this, they'd be like, "Oh wow, it's like a riccobetti sandwich, but it's an upgrade. It's like the
that's
deluxe."
what it has been described as a lot.
I was just gonna say, I love how you said it's approachable food because looking at the menu across the room, it looks like bar food. I'm not gonna lie, but when you taste it, you get that.
And
I mean,
I
butter
like
upon
that
bacon. You get that
wow
little
factor.
extra,
Yeah.
and then you taste. Okay, I've had fried pickles before. I've had calamari before.
Yeah.
I've had a meatball before, but not like this. And this is better, and this is awesome.
Thank you very
Well
much.
done.
Thank
This
you.
is great.
There's very few things on the menu that's like, holy f***, like that came out of left field.
Except for the holy that came out of like
Yeah.
burger, which is really
which-
good.
Oh But
we just named a burger.
Oh my God!
Oh my God!
It's the Southside Pod.
It's the Southside Pod.
Oh my God!
Oh my God!
It's the Southside Pod.
It's the Southside Pod.
OMG!
OMG!
It's the SSP.
It's the SSP.
Oh my God!
Oh my God!
It's the Southside Pod.
It's the Southside Pod. Let me get this straight. Hold on a second. Bill doesn't like peanuts?
No. I'm eating peanut.
He's not sure if he likes.
Yeah, but he was like, he looked at it. I mean, I got the best peanuts possible. On
I don't
the
like a
bar
lot of
today.
nuts.
These are
All
right
right,
from the
that's
binnies.
fair.
From the binnies.
This is one of those Binny's things where it's like, if you buy this, you get
99 cents.
You
or
get
a penny.
the nuts for a penny.
Yeah, free nuts.
And
Penny
these,
nuts.
These are the best kind because they're the honey roasted,
They're very good.
salted peanuts.
They're
Those are
very
my
good.
favorite peanuts. They're also the ones
You know
that are
why I
the worst
usually
for
don't
you.
like peanuts?
Why?
Same reason I don't like lobster. It's a lot of work for a little bit of like.
Yeah, but these
are
aren't
on
even in the
shell.
shell.
I didn't know that.
They're just roasted and they got honey on them.
Like, I don't
and
like
they're
eating
sweet.
peanuts in a shell.
They
It's
got
stupid.
sugar. They're great.
They're
You know
good.
what? I did this one time with my wife's aunt. We were in West Virginia.
Yeah.
And they wanted to go out and have a fancy dinner. So, of course, we went to the Red Lobster.
course,
Because
that's
in
what
West
you do.
Virginia, the Red Lobster, that's
The
highfalutin
jacket
stuff.
required.
Oh, yeah.
Jean jacket.
At least a shirt.
At least a shirt with sleeves.
Maybe some socks and shoes, you know? And we go there and her aunt realizes I'm paying. And this is like before...
No shoes, no shirt, you're hired.
And I'm the guy who's on the radio from Chicago.
Oh, my.
And she's from the Hollow, or whatever they call
What,
it. The
the
Holler,
Hollow?
the Hollow, whatever. Like out
Was
there
that
in
like
the
where
country.
Winnie the Pooh lives?
Yeah, that's basically where she's from. And so she's ordering
Really
the
loved
lobster.
honey.
Because she's never going to have a lobster again, this woman. She's like, I'm ordering a
How
lobster.
old are these lobsters, by the way, that get to West Virginia?
I don't know. They're West Virginia lobsters. They were on a
Right.
truck for at least a week.
Absolutely.
Okay, these are not the.
Mountains.
not the freshest
The
lobsters.
lobsters were begging for the sweet relief of death at
Well,
that point.
think about it this point. This lobster was bought by the Red Lobster Corporation.
Right.
Then they were processed by Red Lobster. Then they were distributed to places like West Virginia and, Wyoming. It takes a while to get there.
What kind of food is West Virginia known for?
Fried green tomatoes. She makes those really well.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, those are good.
I'm wondering if there's something. Hooch. Squirrel.
Squirrel's a big thing.
I believe
No, I'm not
it.
kidding
Not a
you.
joke.
My wife has
Not
told
a
me that
joke.
she's eaten varmints before. I bring up stuff like,
Varmints.
have you had a rabbit
Somebody
before?
turned
She's
into
like,
foghorn
them
leghorn all of a sudden.
no, but she has. She's eaten varmints before. She's had rabbit and possum, and it's crazy to listen to this stuff. from her.
Whatever they're into.
But anyway, this woman, her aunt, gets a lobster at Red Lobster. And the whole time we're sitting there, I go, I don't like eating lobster that much, at least whole, because it creeps me out. And she
I
goes,
agree.
why? And I said, because all it really is a giant bug
Yeah.
running across the ocean floor.
And it used to be not like a delicacy, right? It used to be like the pupper's meal.
Right. And I said, honestly,
Because
it's
they're bottom feeder.
it's like a cockroach with claws.
Yeah.
And she starts laughing at me. She goes, no, it isn't. I go, yeah, it is. And she starts to pick on me at the table like I'm the idiot. Now, look, I'm not a judgmental person. Okay, I might be a little judgmental. But like for me, a guy who went to college and graduated and talking to a woman from Wheeling, West Virginia, who's telling
About the
me
etiquette of lobster.
right, exactly. So I reached across the table and I flipped the lobster upside down.
Yeah.
And you see all the legs and the
Oh, yeah.
thorax and all the other
Nasty.
stuff. And she screamed and ran away from the table because she did not
She's never
understand.
flipped a lobster upside
She had
down?
never seen the
Never
bottom of a
lived if
lobster.
you haven't flipped a
I was like,
lobster.
it's a big giant bug. Like that's what it looks like. It
Disgusting.
looks like a bug. It's disgusting. When you look at a whole lobster cooked and you flip it upside down on your plate, it is one of the grossest things you'll ever look at.
Then you go to a fancy restaurant and they like cut it off for you and like.
Right, because they don't want you to look at that.
Correct.
Right. Red Lobster, though, big giant bug on your
Whatever
plate.
you want. Right. half the ones in the tank are dead.
Right, but you get the biscuits. That's the whole thing.
Cheddar Bay
Biscuits are
biscuit.
good.
Right,
Yeah.
you get the cheddar biscuit. You don't care there's a bug on your
Right.
plate. Yeah, exactly.
You might end up on YouTube when the fight happens too.
True story.
Your Southside Pod Bulletin Board brought to you by the brand new Spoke and Vine Wine Bar and Bottle Shop. An incredible array of wines, good food. 21 and over place. It's for adults. It's made for adults. It's a really adult place. Go do some adulting. You can check them out at spokenvinewines.com. There are 4 Wednesdays left in Lamont for Lamont Legends Cruise Nights. The area's best block party takes place every Wednesday night in August. It's been going on all summer. Get the lineup of the cars, go head out there, check out lamontdowntown.com. There's an end of summer concert and open farm at the Children's Farm at the Center in Palos. Ed Hill and the Unusuals will be out there. There's going to be hayrack rides, food concessions, and the barns will be open 6 to 8 p.m. on Friday night. Hailstorm Brewing on Friday night out in Tinley Park has the Bourbon Belts playing from 6 to 9 p.m. And on Saturday, Blue Island Beer Company has Alex Teller Country Folk Music. Get out to Bibco and check that out. All weekend long, Orland Park is having the Taste of Orland Park. It is the 20th anniversary. They have multiple stages, all kinds of acts out there, plus they got karaoke, live band karaoke. 8 to 11 p.m. on Saturday night. Elton Live, the Elton John Experience, 8:30 to 11 p.m. on a different stage. The 20th annual Taste of Orland Park. You don't want to go to a Taste of Orland Park, you just want to see Lady Groove and the Get Downs. You can see them at Hart's Saloon in Evergreen Park at 9 p.m. on Saturday the 5th. Our final segment is brought to you by SidSauce.net. They grow the peppers on the south side. They develop incredible hot sauces. The only hot sauce I use is something from Sid Sauce. I'm just always picking a different one. See what they have to offer at sidsauce.net. Lollapalooza hits Chicago this weekend. Heck, it's already begun. 4 days this year, kicking off on Thursday. Billie Eilish, one of the big headliners on Thursday night. The 1975 are there on Friday. Red Hot Chili Peppers around on Sunday and a bunch of other bands. But who better to give you a little bit of advice here at the end of this program than a man that was on Q101 for years and has been backstage a lot and knows a lot about Lollapalooza, my good friend Eric Christensen. What's up, buddy?
Oh, thank you. I appreciate that, Chris. And it's great to be on the Southside Pod.
So, Southside Pod is taking a look at Lollapalooza, and the reason I have you on is because you are an expert. Give advice to somebody going to Lolla who's not gone a lot or has never gone before, who's going, like, how should they spend their day away from the couple bands they know they want to see?
There is no particular sound to any stage. My advice is if you've got downtime, just roll the dice and see if you find anything. You've got the two main stages at either end of Grant Park that bounce back and forth. In between there are even smaller stages that I've found you can find some pretty cool artists on. And really, you're just seeing what you can see, and if it clicks with you, awesome. If not, walk away after a couple songs. Go check out another stage. They usually have a couple going at once. Here, though, is the biggest advice that I give, and I think most people kind of overlook this when Lollapalooza comes to town. You don't have to go to Grant Park to enjoy Lollapalooza because of the Lollapalooza after shows. If you see any band that's on this lineup, you're like, I don't know, I don't know if I want to go into Grant Park and do this whole festival thing. These Lollapalooza after shows are happening here in Chicago. You can go see these bands in a regular club format and don't feel like you have to venture into Grant Park.
Everybody's really into their image a lot more than they probably were 25 years ago when I started in the business. Are people different when you interview the different rock bands? Like I would imagine the early on, like smaller acts are still probably the same, but are people a little different when it comes to the interviews? Do they have a lot of handlers? Are they worried about how they look? Are they taking selfies while you're trying to put a microphone in front of their face?
The one thing I will say this, and it's the same for all of us. Chris, you and I have done things when we were younger that if they were done now, we would be embarrassed by all the documentation that's available, right?
Oh, yeah.
I mean, and in a way, sure, I guess people are cognizant of what they're doing to make sure that it's not immortalized forever on the internet. I think artists are the same as artists were when you and I were doing this, those many years ago. I don't want to say many years ago. God, that sounds
long time ago. Old men.
My God, we are. That's okay though. And that is that famous people are just people, and sometimes some people are cool, and sometimes some people are dicks, and. Ultimately, it's just that the only difference between them and us is more people know who they are.
Is there somebody you think that Southsiders would like? Is there somebody that you think this is an up-and-comer that you're like, yeah, try it? Or is your advice just simply get lost in Lollapalooza and make sure you get to the one or two that you want to see, but otherwise get lost in there?
I think you summed it up really well. Do what we all used to do, and that is just discover new music.
It's the Southside! It's the Southside! It's Southside Pod! Thanks for listening! Thanks for tuning in to the Southside Pod! Y'all come back now, you hear?